So this will be the deposition of Dr. Raymond Huey, taken in the case Aaron Altman versus Arch Insurance Company, Veterans Empowerment Organization of Georgia, Inc., and Edward Davis. And the deposition is being taken for the preservation of evidence at trial. Madam Court Reporter, if you would please swear in the witness.
This is Heather Cruz with Polk Reporting and Video. I'm a certified court reporter in the state of Georgia. I'm not a relative or employee of any party in this action. I have no direct contract with any party in this action, nor am I financially interested in the outcome of this action. The witness has identified himself to this court reporter as Raymond Huey. I will ask counsel to agree on the record that there is no objection to this court reporter administering a binding oath to this witness remotely. Counsel, please state your name and agreement on the record.
No objection from plaintiff.
Yes, Alphonse Nelson agreed.
Mike Johnson, I have no objection.
Dr. Huey, do you swear that the testimony you shall give in the matter herein will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Good morning, Dr. Huey. I want to thank you for taking the time away from your practice to be here today. Will you please state your full name for the jury?
Raymond Huey, H-U-I.
And Dr. Huey, will you please walk us through your educational background?
I did my medical school training in SUNY, downstate of New York City. Did my internship and residency in orthopedic surgery at the same facility. And I did my fellowship in trauma and sports medicine at the Houston Clinic in Columbus, Georgia.
Thank you, sir. And are you board certified?
Yes, I am.
What are you board certified
In the field of orthopedic surgery.
Where do you currently practice medicine?
In Lawrenceville, Georgia.
And are you licensed to practice in Georgia?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been practicing medicine?
Since 1997.
And do you have a specialty?
I do sports medicine and trauma.
What kinds of orthopedic surgeries do you perform?
Typically, my surgeries include replacements of joints, ligamentous reconstructions, repairs, tendon reconstructions.
Okay. Have you done total knee replacements in the past?
Yes, I have.
And approximately how many have you done?
Probably several thousand by now, probably 400 a year for the past 20 plus years.
Okay. So plaintiff will tender Dr. Huey as an expert in orthopedic surgery. Is there any objection?
Not at this time.
Okay. Dr. Huey, will you give all of your opinions today to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
Yes.
Object overbroad.
Did you provide medical treatment to Aaron Altman?
Yes, I did.
Why did Miss Altman first come to see you?
She was actually referred to me by her trauma surgeon who initially treated her right knee injury. I do more of the reconstructive type procedure. The trauma surgeon treated her knee injury initially and sent her to me for, I guess, further treatment and evaluation.
Okay. And what were Miss Altman's symptoms when she came to you?
Stiffness and pain to her knee, to her right knee.
And how are her injuries affecting her daily life?
Ambulating. She had difficulty with walking. I think she showed up about 4 months after her injury. Still complains of pain, swelling, and difficulty with her activities when I first saw her.
Okay. And what did you do to examine Miss Altman to figure out what was causing the symptoms?
X-rays were obtained. We got X-rays and examining her.
Okay. Did you take a medical history from Miss Altman?
Yes, I did.
And what treatment, if any, had she already had when she first saw you?
She already had surgery for her right knee. and was coming to see me about 4 months after her initial surgery.
Can you explain what exactly, what kind of surgery she had on her knee?
Well, she sustained a pretty severely comminuted or very bad fracture involving her right knee, and in particular the leg or tibia portion of that knee. She was treated with a fixator, meaning the doctor put a special device that keeps her leg in proper alignment, so it can heal in a better position than what it was when it broke.
Okay. And when you say comminuted, can you explain what that means?
That means it's in a lot of pieces. The fracture of the bone was shattered, I guess a more common term to say.
Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen with you to show you an exhibit. Can you see Plaintiff's Exhibit 117 on your screen?
Yes.
And can you just explain for the jury what Plaintiff's Exhibit 117 is?
It's an X-ray, we'll call lateral X-ray of her knee. And you can see there are 2 pins you can see on the top. That is what we call an external fixator, which is a device was used to kind of secure the extremity in in alignment. It holds it in better alignment and it prevents the extremity of the joint from moving.
Okay. And that's what we're looking at the top of.
Correct.
That
That
Can you
portion is white.
Thank you. Can you explain what the bottom pieces are that we can see?
I guess here is the other part of the frame. So there are rods that are attached to these 2 pins, and then a second row of rods that go across here that is linked to these what we call brackets. And there are 2 more pins down below her leg and down below here that's not seen on the X-ray. And then this type of device is called the external fixator.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to share another exhibit with you that's been marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 118. Can you see Plaintiff's Exhibit 118 on your screen?
Yes.
And can you just explain for the jury what we're looking at here?
This is, I guess, a picture of her extremity. You can see this is the frame. These 2 pins were visualized on the X-ray. These 2 were not seen in the X-ray. And this is the bars that I'm talking about that's kind of securing her knee in alignment with these 2, with this black, look like a ladder type frame that becomes her, I guess, her bone that's kind of holding her leg from moving.
Okay. And Dr. Huey, what did you do to treat Miss Altman?
Basically, I kind of saw her 4 months after. This has been, I guess, her injury, and that frame that you saw has been removed.
Okay. And was there anything else involved in your treatment of Miss Altman?
Basically, I kind of gave my opinion of the next steps of treatment of what to do.
Okay, and we'll get to that in just a second. I do want to share another document. It's been pre-marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 119. Can you explain for the jury what we're looking at in this exhibit?
Okay, so this is a picture of the leg. After that last picture, the external fixator had been removed, and she's in this what we call a hinge knee brace that basically provide some stability to her leg.
And how long did she have to wear this knee brace?
Several months.
Okay. Were Miss Altman's injuries causing her pain?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
From her report to me, her I guess subjective response to questioning.
Okay, what kind of pain did she describe to you?
Moderate. 10 being the most severe. She said it was moderate in severity, with improvement over time.
The objection is vague as the time.
Okay. Is it normal for injuries like hers to hurt like that?
Yes.
Did it surprise you that Miss Altman was feeling pain?
No.
What do you think caused Miss Altman's knee injury to a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
A pretty severe blunt trauma to the extremity.
And why do you think that?
Because the bone is, as reported before, severely comminuted.
Is that the type of injury that can be caused by a car wreck?
Yes.
And is that what you think caused the injury here?
Objection leading.
That was what I was told, how she sustained this fracture to her leg.
And who told you that?
The patient.
Okay. Now I'm going to share my screen again with a document that's been pre-marked as Plaintiff's Exhibit 111. Can you just tell me what this document is? I can scroll through it for you.
This is a document, I guess, of my bills. I guess the bill that was submitted, the charges of treatment of the service provided.
And
Okay.
related objection, speculation lacks foundation.
Are these charges reasonable and customary among orthopedic surgeons in Atlanta?
Yes, it is.
Overbroad, speculation lacks foundation.
You can answer.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So I want to talk with you about Miss Altman's total knee replacement surgery. Do you know who ordered that surgery?
I'm not sure specifically, but she, I guess I hinted at that surgery when I first saw her, and that was something that's part of her treatment course with what she sustained. So I think she sought another opinion from a local orthopedist in the area.
Okay, so did I hear you correctly that it was your opinion that the surgery was necessary?
Correct.
Form leading.
Okay, and do you know who she sought a second opinion from?
A doctor by name of Traub.
And do you know Dr. Traub?
Yes, I do.
Do you respect Dr. Traub as a doctor?
Yes, I do.
And do you agree with his opinion that the surgery was necessary?
Yes, I do.
And can you explain why that was necessary?
She still had residual arthritis of her knee. Her knee is still significantly, the bone is still significantly deformed. The joint surface is severely arthritic, what we call post-traumatic arthritis. And, the top part of her knee is still not normal in terms of allowing to the joint to articulate or move upon each other.
Okay. How will Miss Altman's injuries affect her in the future?
She will require a knee replacement or a tibial replacement on the top part of her leg. So, there will be weakness involved, some residual pain, discomfort. There are issues with prosthetics. They're not perfect, but it allows improvement of her overall pain and function. Improves that quite a bit by doing that procedure.
Okay. And what type of issues are there with prosthetics?
They can fail, they can loosen, they can get infected. It's man's attempt to recreate, our body, but it's not perfect.
Okay. So am I correct in understanding that there may be additional future surgeries?
Quite possible, yes.
Objection leading.
How long does a knee replacement typically last?
It varies. I would say average about 15 years.
Is it your opinion that she may need another knee surgery?
Objective
Well-
form.
I can't predict, but I would say if I were to have to guess, quite more than likely, yes.
Okay, those are all the questions I have. Thank you, Dr. Huey.
Morning, Dr. Huey. My name is Alphonse Nelson. I'm an attorney for the Veterans Empowerment Organization. My client is the owner of the vehicle that Miss Altman was involved in a collision with, and there's a lawsuit. Obviously, that's why we had to interrupt your practice this morning. I'm going to try to ask you a few short questions to get this done as quickly as possible so you can get back to your real work. Doctor, have you had a deposition taken before?
Yes, I have.
On approximately how many occasions?
Once every other month, I think, if I had to estimate.
For how long?
Past 20 plus years.
Okay, so plenty.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to, if it's okay with you, dispose with explaining what's going on. I can assume you understand the procedure, that you're under oath and your testimony is truthful.
Yes.
Okay. In this case, were you retained as a forensic expert, or is it your understanding that you're involved as a treating physician, if you know?
I'm just a treating physician.
Okay. And how were you selected? I think you said you were referred by a trauma surgeon. Was that Dr. Min?
Yes.
Okay. You work with Dr. Min frequently?
Yes.
And he's someone in the community that you know as a colleague who often refers these cases that are more complicated that may require revision surgery?
Yes.
Okay. And that's what happened in this case?
Correct.
Okay. Now, as far as I can tell, you didn't actually do anything for Miss Altman, aside from, kind of monitoring the progress of the healing and getting her to a physical therapist. Am I right about that?
That is correct.
You didn't perform any surgeries?
No, sir.
She has an external fixator and a closed reduction surgery before she got to you, right?
Correct.
And then apparently there may have been a subsequent surgery after she left you. Am I right about that?
Correct.
Have you seen her since she had that surgery?
Which surgery?
To your knowledge, has Miss Altman had a total knee replacement?
Last time I saw her, she was contemplating undergoing that procedure. Correct.
Okay, so I'm going to go over your records with you. I'm going to try to be as quick as I can, but I think
Sure.
I know what you're referring to. There's a March 2022 note that references a Dr. Reimer and a potential proximal tibial replacement surgery. Is that what you're talking about?
That is correct.
Okay, since that date, have you seen Miss Altman?
No, sir.
Now, earlier in your testimony, you mentioned a Dr. Traub. Is that a different doctor than Dr. Reimer?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then you mentioned a total knee replacement. That's a different surgery than a proximal tibial replacement, isn't it?
Correct.
Okay, do you know if Miss Altman has had a surgery, if it was a total knee replacement or a proximal tibial replacement?
I do not have any records or any idea of what was actually performed.
Okay, do you know if she even had a surgery?
Not for sure, no.
Okay, so I just want to be clear because I think you just testified under oath that she had a surgery and she's likely going to need another surgery. So I just want to kind of explore the basis of that opinion. If you don't know if she really had a surgery and if you don't know if she had the proximal tibial replacement or the total knee replacement, what's the foundation for those opinions you just testified to under oath?
I guess I was not clear that was specifically that was referring to a already performed surgery. What I was referring to is if that was done, the possibility of complications that may occur. Not that I knew for sure that she had a procedure done.
Okay, so in order to determine how long that procedure is likely to last, you need to know what procedure it was, right?
That would help, yes.
Okay, and in order to determine whether that prosthesis is likely to last 15 years or 25 years or something else, you need to know, what is the known, evidence-based medicine about how long these specific prostheses have lasted in other patients, right?
Correct.
Would it be a fair statement that you could agree with to say that you don't have enough information right now to testify about how long Miss Altman's existing prosthesis will last, if she even has one?
As of today, yes, that is correct. That is correct.
Did you review anything in preparation for today's deposition?
I just looked at the chart that I have in my office.
Okay, and what does that chart that you have in your office consist of? Is it your own records alone, or do you have additional records?
No, just my own records alone.
Doctor, you said probably for the last 20 years you've been doing depositions. Have you been doing that as, a treating physician where your patients may sometimes get you embroiled in the litigation process, or have you been doing that as someone who takes on cases and allows yourself to be retained by attorneys to review cases and testify on behalf of plaintiffs?
Only as a treating physician.
When I reviewed your records, it appeared to me that all of Ms. Altman's bills have been paid by Aetna Insurance. Do you agree?
Objection, collateral source.
I don't have, I don't know if that's true for a fact, because I don't, I guess, handle that portion of for care.
So are you involved in billing at all?
Well, the only part involved is the coding of it. I don't know after that what actually transpires from there.
Okay, so coding means there's certain medical codes that describe the procedures that you perform, typically referred to as CPT codes.
Correct.
And you may assist with making sure the correct CPT code is used to appropriately and accurately document the services that you provided.
Correct.
After that, someone else decides, who do we charge? Do we charge the patient? Do we charge an insurance company, or do we charge someone else?
Objection, relevance, collateral source.
Is that right, doctor?
Yes, I do not do that portion of it. Yes, I just code it with a proper CPT code. Yes.
Same
Okay.
objection.
And do you have any involvement in determining, how much you're actually, well, let me withdraw the question and rephrase. When those bills go out, do they go out under the name of Dr. Raymond Huey, or do they go under Resurgence Orthopedics or something else?
I think they go out as Resurgent Orthopedics.
Okay. And when you're compensated, in order to determine your compensation, do you have to know how much Resurgence Orthopedics billed for your services?
Objection, relevance, and collateral source.
You
No.
can.
No.
Is there any part of your practice that requires you to review the billing to see what Resurgence is charging for your services?
Objection, relevance, collateral source.
No.
Okay, and at any time from the time you met Ms. Altman until today, did you sit down and review her billing records to identify how much was charged for the services that you provided?
No.
Okay, so when you said those services are reasonable, you're just assuming that Resurgence probably charged a reasonable price. Am I right about that?
Objection, argumentative, lacks foundation.
Yes.
Do you know if all of Ms. Altman's bills have been paid?
Objection, irrelevance, or relevance and collateral source.
No, I do not know.
Did you charge, have you reached any agreement with Mr. Kahn about how much you're going to charge him for today's testimony?
No.
Doctor, would you agree that open reduction and internal fixation is the gold standard treatment for a comminuted tibial plateau fracture?
It depends on the severity, but usually that is a very common treatment course of something like that, of this type of injury.
Okay. Do you have any opinion about the surgery that was performed for Ms. Altman, and specifically why no one attempted an open reduction internal fixation for her?
The fracture was too common in too many fragments, so internal fixation was not feasible.
Okay. Now, based on that testimony you just rendered is based on a review of imaging
Yes,
and your discussion with Dr. Min,
yes,
and you agreed with him that open reduction internal fixation was not feasible.
yes, correct.
So the appropriate thing to do was just reduce it as much as possible with the closed reduction and get her in an external fixator.
Yes.
You agree with that treatment course?
Well, I saw her 4 months after, so I never saw her originally, so I don't know if I can make that determination 4 months afterwards.
Okay. So you can't say that that was the appropriate course or not because you didn't really see, you weren't the man on the ground, so to speak, at
Correct.
the time the original surgery was performed. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Do you agree that the strategy for ORIF, open reduction internal fixation, includes optimal reduction of the articular surface?
Yes, what open reduction to fixation goals are when you do them. Yeah, you would like to get it as anatomic as possible.
Okay. Without being there on the scene at the time, I guess you couldn't really give me an opinion to a reasonable degree of medical probability whether such an open reduction to optimize the reduction of the articular surface was feasible on the day of the initial surgery that Dr. Min performed.
Not exactly, no, because I saw her 4 months later.
Okay. You just answered my next question. When you first saw Ms. Altman, that was May in 2021, about 4 months after the accident.
Correct.
Okay. And at that point, she was 50% weight bearing?
Um, correct. She was partial weight bearing, correct.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to your, if I have this right, it's your September 2021 note, 9/20/2021.
Yes,
On that day, you saw, you saw Ms. Altman and you examined her.
yes,
And whenever you saw her, did you examine her and take a history, like an interval history with her?
yes,
Okay. On this data, it looks like she reported to you that she was improving with her range of motion and her pain was improving and she was able to walk about 200 feet using a walker. Is that right?
that's correct.
So by September of 2020, she was able to walk, but she needed the assistance of a walker and the distance was limited to about 200 feet.
Correct.
Okay. And at that point, she had what I think you described as severe post-traumatic osteoarthritis.
Correct.
I have a question about that. Is the severe traumatic or post-traumatic osteoarthritis, is that simply just the fact that her proximal tibial surface is now deformed and calloused from healing, or is there something more than that that's considered arthritis of the knee?
Yeah, the joint surface is not congruent. It is I would say bumpy, is not smooth. It's still in a kind of jagged type of position.
Okay, I just want to be clear what we're talking about. You're talking about the tibial plateau of the joint.
Correct.
The other bones are still in. I don't want to volunteer. I'm trying to get it from you. Is there any osteoarthritis in the remaining bones of the knee? Or are you specifically describing the tibial plateau?
The knee is comprised of just two ends, the ends of the femur and
Right,
the ends of the tibia.
right.
So the plateau, the top part of the tibia is what I'm describing.
Okay, you're not talking about the patella or the femur or anything
Correct.
else.
Correct.
Now that proximal tibial replacement surgery, that still requires replacement of the entire joint. It's just that the tibial portion is more than just a post. It kind of includes a larger piece that includes a replacement of the proximal tibia as well. Am I right about that?
That is correct.
Okay, but you still have to replace the whole joint. You can't just replace the proximal tibia and leave the remaining anatomical bones in there.
That is correct.
All
That
right.
is, that is correct.
Do you perform that surgery?
I'm sorry?
Do you perform that surgery, the
Yes.
proximal tibial replacement surgery?
Yes, I do.
Why didn't you volunteer or agree to perform that surgery for Ms. Altman?
She was seeing a well-respected doctor who basically performs this routinely. So he is a doctor that, talking to her is, a very, very well qualified physician who can do that surgery. That doctor probably does it more routinely than I would.
Okay. Dr. Reimer is someone that does that for oncology patients.
Correct.
So he's got more opportunity to perform that procedure.
Correct.
So it makes sense to send her to him, just not because he's a better doctor than you, just because he's got more experience handling that particular procedure.
Correct.
Okay, I'm following. Thank you. Did you have any objection or opposition to I have to stop and think about these medical terms, doctor. I'm not a physician. Yes. I'm sorry.
No.
The proximal tibial replacement surgery, did you have any objection or opposition to that surgery?
No.
Okay, you thought it was appropriate for Ms. Altman?
Correct.
After a surgery like that, whether she, first of all, I don't know if she went to Trod and had a total knee replacement, or if she went to Dr. Reimer and had the proximal tibial replacement. I think she may have had the second based on a conversation I've had with her attorney, but I don't want you to assume that's true because I don't know it's true and I don't want to appear to be misleading you. But if she's had one of those surgeries, doctor, what is her course after that surgery? Is she going to have the same amount of time with physical therapy and recovery as she had with the initial injury, or is that more of an abbreviated course in terms of her recovery?
I guess you asked me if the proximal tibia replacement will require a quicker recovery, a long recovery. Is that what you're asking?
What would you testify about that? That she's got to go to physical therapy. It's going to be 3 months. It's going to be 6 months. It's going to, if you know.
I would say, in my experience, it probably take up to about a year to recover from something like that.
Okay, and how does that year progress? What kind of treatment would we expect to see during that year?
Probably a lot of range of motion and strengthening goals. Initially, it's quite painful, so her bending is difficult, and getting her strength back is also the goal of something like this. where your whole top part of your tibia bone is removed and replaced by metal. So the top portion of your whole tibia bone is completely replaced by metal instead of bone. So that will require a little time to recuperate from something like that.
Okay. And the range of motion and strengthening that you were referring to, that would likely be a course of, well, let me withdraw and rephrase. In my experience, there's sometimes you get, like, you start with an inpatient PT, then you do an outpatient PT, and then you do an at-home exercise regimen, like, as the course. What would you anticipate for a recovery from a surgery like this?
Correct. That's what you usually do. You do in home and then progress over time to an outpatient type of facility where you go to a office type setting to do the rest of your rehab.
And I know we're somewhat in the area of speculation because we don't even know if this surgery has occurred yet. But for patients that you've treated with this type of surgery, you said you provided it. Give me a timeline for in-home versus outpatient versus, what do you anticipate for that?
Usually in-home for 3 weeks and outpatient for 6 to 9 months.
And then the 6 to 9 months, like how many times a week are we talking?
Probably initially 2 to 3 times a week and slowly regress down to once a week.
And that just depends on how the patient is progressing during that time period.
That's correct.
Would a total knee replacement result in complete resolution of the arthritic joint?
Well, the total knee replacement only removes the cartilaginous portion of the knee. That means she would need good bone beneath it to support a knee replacement. Proximal tibia replacement, we basically you're placing the top, several inches of the tibia. So it's a little very similar procedure, but not exactly the same.
Okay, and I understand there are two different procedures. My question is a little different.
Mhm.
This post-traumatic arthritis, which I think we established is just an uneven surface on the proximal tibia. Either
Right.
one of these procedures is going to completely cure that issue. There's not going to be any more post-traumatic arthritis because now you're going to have an orthotic device or I'm not sure of the medical term, but there's going to be a piece of durable medical equipment in the place of that where she used to have the traumatic arthritis. Am I right about that?
That is correct.
Okay, so now the issue is just how long the knee lasts. The arthritis is gone. Am I right?
Correct, because that material that we put in there is like a car tire. It slowly wears out over time.
Okay, and that's why we have the issue about how long it lasts, right?
Correct.
The arthritis is gone. If
Correct.
she's had the procedure, she no longer has arthritis or post-traumatic arthritis of the knee, right?
Correct.
Protection compound.
You agree, doctor, that if Ms. Altman has had either one of the surgeries we've been discussing, she no longer has post-traumatic arthritis of the knee?
Correct.
Doctor, I'm going to ask you to go to your March 7, 2022 note, which I think is your last visit with Ms. Altman.
Correct. Okay.
Give me a second to get there as well. I'm trying to share my screen, doctor. I'm not completely tech savvy, so I don't know if I did or not. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so it looks like you're saying that she recently saw a second opinion evaluation at Emory University with Dr. Bruce Reimer, who apparently recommended a proximal tibial replacement. That's what you've already shared with us today, right?
Yes,
Okay. Um, who is Dr. Traub or Taub that was mentioned earlier in your testimony?
he is another orthopedic that practices in the community.
And is that doctor someone that is mentioned in your note anywhere? I didn't see that.
No, no.
Why not?
I don't think I knew she went to see a Dr. Traub.
Okay. Did that name just come up in today's questioning by the other attorney who examined you?
There was a note, I guess, one-page note that I saw of that visit.
Okay, fair enough. Do you know if Dr. Traub is also someone who does that proximal tibial replacement surgery for oncology patients?
That I do not know.
At least as of March, it looks like your exam revealed that Miss Altman had minimal swelling in her knee.
Correct.
She still had pain, but you described it as mild pain.
Correct.
Okay, and the anterior draw and posterior draw that were negative. Can you explain those tests and why you performed them?
That's to check the stability of the knee.
Okay. And negative means that it sounds bad, but that's actually good, right?
Correct.
So when you check the stability of her knee, it was stable.
Correct.
And then you did an X-ray and it looked like she had I'm not sure what you meant. Maybe you can explain, because you said healing and then you said healed in reference to the callus and the tibial plateau fracture.
I guess that's described the top part of the tibia. You can see that it is still comminuted, but there is healing of the bone ends where they mended together.
Okay. And healing, I guess, is what confused me. From a layman's perspective, that sounds like it's not done yet. It's still healing. Does that mean that she's not healed yet? You know, a year and a couple, I think we're over a year. Yeah, a year and a couple months post-accident at this point. Is the callus completely healed at this point?
Not completely. I mean, there are some areas that are still, I guess there's some gaps in some areas, but there is a good portion of it that is mended together, has kind of fused back together.
Okay. And so the parts that are uneven are what you refer to as post-traumatic arthritis.
Correct.
And then do you expect that, do you expect those areas to like somehow fill in? Like, will she grow bone there or something?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes it does. Your body does that as it mends itself.
Okay. And it looks like, at least as of this date in March of 2022, Ms. Altman was telling you her intention was to proceed with the surgery by Dr. Reimer.
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall signing an affidavit in relationship to this lawsuit?
Not off the top of my head, I do not recall.
Uh,
I may have done something where I reviewed some notes or something like that, but I cannot recall specifically.
I'm
Signing
probably
something.
misdescribing it. I don't know that it was an affidavit. I think it was a report that was submitted by the plaintiff counsel. Do you remember the report?
I'll have a look back, but I do not recall specifically doing that.
Okay, I've got it here. I'll be fair
Oh, you
to
do?
show it to you before I ask you any specific questions.
Okay.
The reason I called it an affidavit is because the title of it is Plaintiff's Notice of Intent to Use Affidavit, but I'm not sure who put that title on there. Let me
Mhm.
just share the screen with you.
Mhm.
So the title on the document is Plaintiff's Notice of Intent to Use Medical Report Narrative at Trial. So maybe I just saved it with the wrong name.
Mhm.
Let's see here. So here's a medical report of Dr. Raymond Huey, MD, regarding patient Aaron Altman. Does that look familiar to you, doctor?
I think this is I guess a conversation I may have had with the plaintiff's attorney.
Would that be Matt Kahn?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Okay, and after that conversation, did Mr. Kahn reduce your thoughts to writing, or did you do that?
I think Mr. Kahn did this,
Okay, and then you signed off on it?
correct?
Is that your signature?
Yes,
It says that you swear and affirm that the report is true and accurate. That's what you were doing when you signed it?
yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify something. There's a reference to an open reduction internal fixation, and you already looked at Exhibit 117 referenced in this declaration during this deposition, and you said there was no open reduction internal fixation. What's seen there is some pins and an external fixator. Do
Correct.
you stand by that testimony in your deposition today?
Yes, but this kind of didn't specifically, I guess, refer to, this is just, to me, this just read that sometimes it can be done with that or external fixator.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read it directly. It says, and I've highlighted this portion, and I'll go ahead and mark this as an exhibit and share it just so anyone that reviews the transcript knows what I'm reading from. But it says, Miss Altman's leg injury was treated with an open reduction internal fixation surgery, sometimes called ORIF, on her right tibia. And then it reverts to plaintiff's exhibit 117. And it says that shows metal pins and an internal fixator. That exhibit doesn't show an internal fixator, does it?
No, it does not.
Okay. How much does Miss Altman weigh?
Let me see, I know. I have here documented at 215 pounds,
What's her BMI?
about 33.
How would you quantify or qualify that medically?
That's considered obese.
Does obesity contribute to knee problems?
It can.
Did you counsel Miss Altman about her weight at all?
Not specifically, no.
Why not?
Because her treatment course here was from her traumatic injury. So specifically, it's not a degenerative osteoarthritic problem that she was undergoing. So it was more of a traumatic problem versus a osteoarthritic problem. A weight related issue can be a factor of that. Her injury that I was seeing for was not because of a weight related issue.
Does weight or obesity have any relationship at all to total knee replacement in terms of the longevity of that device?
Yes, it does.
Did you counsel her in that regard?
No,
Why not?
we never gotten that far to proceed with a surgical intervention at the time I saw her.
Okay. What is the relationship between yourself and Physiotherapist Associates?
They're one of the companies that I use to do the rehab for a part of the services that I use. They're one of the therapy companies that does the rehabilitation portion of it.
And when you say you use them, what do you mean by that?
I refer a lot of patients for therapy to that facility.
Do you have any ownership interest in that facility?
No,
And to your knowledge, is there any ownership relationship between Physiotherapist Associates and Resurgence?
no, there's none.
So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions about opinions you do not have. I think they should. I won't be expecting to hear anything about these opinions from you, but I just want to be sure. Have you evaluated Ms. Altman for any injury outside of her right knee?
No, I have not.
And you won't be testifying about any injuries outside of her right knee. Am I right about that?
That is correct.
Okay. Have you developed any opinions about what caused the motor vehicle collision that Ms. Altman was involved in?
No,
You won't be commenting about who was at fault for causing that collision, will you?
no,
And aside from what you've already testified about, blunt force trauma, will you be offering any testimony about the mechanics or the forces involved in the collision?
no,
Will you be offering testimony about the prognosis for any injury other than Ms. Altman's right knee?
no.
To your knowledge, was Ms. Altman a restrained or unrestrained passenger at the time of her accident?
Objection, relevance in the seatbelt statute.
I do not know.
Okay. Doctor, I pulled just multiple different pages from the Northside Hospital Gwinnett records that reference unrestrained. This is a discharge instruction referencing Ms. Altman as being an unrestrained driver. This is the emergency documentation that refers to her as patient was an unrestrained driver. Another page, unrestrained driver. I've got the EMS records in here too. I'm not going to go through all of these one by one, but pretty sure I have EMS records in here.
So
The EMS record as well. Unrestrained driver of a passenger car. Doctor, did you ever discuss with Ms. Altman whether she wore her seatbelt at the time of this accident?
objection, relevance, the seat, it's inadmissible under the seatbelt statute and lack of foundation.
No,
Based on your training and experience in a patient, do you expect a patient to sustain the type of injury that you saw in Ms. Altman if she is wearing a 3-point restraint at the time of the collision?
Objection, relevance, inadmissible under the seatbelt statute and calls for speculation. And it's an
usually,
incomplete hypothetical.
usually unrestrained drivers, and there's usually more severe injuries that we see with unrestrained drivers.
This type of injury that you refer to as a severely comminuted proximal tibial fracture is a more severe injury that you would expect with an unrestrained driver.
Objection, relevance, inadmissible under the seatbelt statute.
I've seen this in both, but the severity of hers is probably a little more common in unrestrained.
Did you review any medical records other than your own? I know you said you don't have them in your chart, but I'm asking now if you've ever had an opportunity to review them.
Not for records specifically from Northside, no.
From anywhere other than your own office.
Correct.
How many conversations have you had with Ms. Altman's attorneys?
Maybe two. The initial, I guess, questionnaire, and then and several days ago.
Okay, so the first was when that report was created that you signed off on?
Correct, correct.
Okay. And when you read that report, did you think that it generally captured the gist of your conversation with Mr. Kahn?
Majority, yes.
Okay, was there anything that you shared with him that was not in that report?
Not that I can recall now.
Okay, and what did you talk about a couple of days ago?
We had a quick, just kind of expectation of, I guess, what's coming up with deposition, just to clarify some medical, I guess, history issues, I guess, question of medical history.
And specifically, what questions in the medical history were you clarifying?
Just, I guess, findings and review of some of the, I guess, the notes, and that was in the chart.
What specific findings?
Just talking about her care and you know, her treatment course.
Her treatment course with you,
Yeah, correct.
with anyone else?
No,
Did you discuss anything about her treatment course that you and I haven't discussed today?
no.
Did you have any additional opinions that Mr. Kahn told you he didn't want to elicit from you today?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
Did you have any additional opinions that Mr. Kahn told you he was not intending to elicit from you today?
No,
Have you shared with me today all the opinions that you would anticipate rendering should you be called to testify at the time of trial?
yes,
And the basis for those opinions?
yes.
When you spoke to Mr. Kahn, did he share with you any of the interval history from March 2022 when you last saw Ms. Altman until today?
No,
Okay. Did he tell you whether Ms. Altman has had a surgery?
no,
And as you sit here today, do you have any expectation that Ms. Altman is going to return to you for any reason?
no.
Doctor, I think I've completed my examination, the questions that I wanted to ask of you today, but I'm going to ask you to give me a 5-minute break to just go over my notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Okay.
Okay, back on the record. Go ahead.
Doctor, do you have any imaging in your chart that shows Miss Altman while she still had the external fixator on?
No, that would be probably Dr. Min.
Okay. So you signed an affidavit that said there was an open reduction internal fixator when there was no such surgery, right?
Correct, that is correct.
And it references in Exhibit 117. Did you see Exhibit 117 before you signed that affidavit?
I think that came on my desk, maybe several weeks after. I think I just signed it, just reading the first few sentences, the first few paragraphs, and it seemed correct to me. I don't think I went through it in the specific detail, but that is correct in terms of it being incorrect. The patient did not undergo a open reduction internal fixation of that leg.
Thank you, doctor. I'll pass questioning. I don't have any other questioning. And again, I appreciate you taking the time from your practice today to sit here and answer lawyer questions. I know it's not what you went to school for.
Thank you.
Mike Johnson, I have no questions for this doctor. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Mike.
I said, this is Mike Johnson. I have no questions for this doctor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Huey, I've got just a few follow-up questions and then we'll get you out of here. So you've been questioned now by the defense lawyer, Mr. Nelson, for a little over 30 minutes now. Has your opinion of Ms. Altman's diagnosis changed as a result of those questions?
No,
Has your opinion about the pain that Ms. Altman experienced changed as a result of those questions?
No,
Has your opinion about the cause of Miss Altman's injuries changed as a result of those questions?
no,
Has your opinion about Miss Altman's prognosis changed since those questions?
no.
Mr. Nelson asked you about our meetings, so I just want to ask you a few questions about those. During our meetings, did I ask you to say anything that wasn't true?
No,
Did I pressure you to say anything that you didn't want to say?
no,
And did I try to convince you to change any of your opinions?
no,
Okay. And then finally, you testified about Dr. Trapp's one-page report. And I just wanted to ask you if you agreed with Dr. Trapp's recommendation that Miss Altman have that total knee replacement surgery.
if I agreed what, I'm sorry?
If you agreed with Dr. Trapp's opinion that Miss Altman go forward with the total knee replacement surgery.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. Those are all the questions that I have.
What's the date on that note, Dr. Traub's note?
Let me see if I have it here.
If you don't mind, maybe give me the title on the document so I can find it.
I think I just got it this morning, so let me see. It appears to be a one-page medical record from one-page note from Dr. I guess looks like a medical record from Dr. Traub. Seems to be a this is visit note February 11, 2022.
How did you receive that this morning?
This was sent to me by Matt
Okay.
this morning.
Well, perhaps I was too narrow in my question when I asked you if you'd spoken to Mr. Kahn. Have you exchanged emails with Mr. Kahn?
I just got this this morning. I guess it was sent to my secretary, who I guess forwarded to me this morning.
Okay. Have you exchanged emails with Mr. Kahn?
Not personally, no.
Okay. And what's the name of your assistant who forwarded that note to you?
Adela Zerek. She's like my secretary.
Spell that for me.
Adela Zerek, Z-E-R-I-C. A-D-E-L-A Z-E-R-I-C.
Okay. Doctor, I'm going to ask you, do you have a pen to write something down?
Yes.
Sure. I'm going to give you the court reporter's email address. I like to mark a couple of exhibits. I will mark, I haven't been keeping track of what I showed, so I'm just going to mark them collectively. Have we marked anything, Madam Reporter? So I'll mark as Exhibit 1, a collective exhibit of the documents that I showed the doctor during the deposition. I'll share those with the reporter. And I'll mark as Exhibit 2 the email that the doctor just referenced that was sent to him, including an attachment with a report from a Dr. Traub. Doctor, will you email that, send that to the reporter?
Yes.
So I'm going to object. That's an improper mechanism to request documents. You know that he doesn't have to email that to you, and it's not going to be a part of this record because it wasn't requested.
Doctor, thank you for agreeing to provide that to us. And then the Exhibit 3 is going to be the emails from Mr. Kahn's office to Adela Zurich, if you would send those to the reporter as well.
It will make the same objection. That's an inappropriate way to seek documents. This is a deposition for the preservation of evidence at trial. This is not a mechanism to do a non-party request for documents which has not been served or filed in this case. So we object to that.
Okay. Doctor, did you understand my request?
Yes,
Will you do that?
Same
Uh,
objection.
I'll find out if I can legally do that. Yeah, I'll be glad to if I can legally do that to you.
Okay,
Go
so
for it.
I'm going to mark as Exhibit 4 to the deposition my deposition notice, which includes requests for the documents that I just asked for. And this notice was served over a month ago without objection to it. So I'm going to ask you to comply with the deposition notice and the request for production of documents at the time of the deposition. And just so you're aware, Mr. Kahn is not your attorney. He's not entitled to instruct you not to comply with my request. But if he's going to file a formal objection, the way to do it is for him to file a motion with the court. So I'll ask that you provide those to the reporter as I requested. And the reporter will keep those until the time of production of the record. And Mr. Kahn will have an opportunity to seek a protective order before before this transcript is distributed, if he deems that appropriate. I will mark as Exhibit 4 my deposition notice that included a request for production of documents at the time of the deposition that covers the scope of the documents that I just requested and asked the doctor to produce. Are you aware of that, doctor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Also, just to put an objection on the record, I object to you marking the medical report as an exhibit. It's not admissible. And so I just want to preserve that objection.
Okay, unless you have anything else to add, counsel, I'm willing to conclude the deposition, and I will. Well, I guess we both noticed it, so you should agree to conclude it as well. But I will reserve the right to recall the doctor in the event that the doctor has developed any new or different opinions. And I would move to exclude any new or different opinions that weren't rendered today, unless I'm provided notice of new and different opinions that were developed between now and the time of trial.
Reading and signing. Doctor,
Dr. Hugh, so you have the option to read and sign, or
No,
you can waive
I'm
that.
gonna waive it, yes.
and can I get orders, please? Matt, did you want to order a copy?
Oh, so yeah, we'll do our standard. Sorry. Thank you.
And the video as well?
Yes, please.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes, and just before we finish, Doctor, did you receive my notice of deposition or request for production of documents? At the
The
time?
deposition's been concluded. There are no more questions here.
All right, I object to that comment, Matt. This is, I hope somehow we elevate the professionalism among counsel in this thing. If Mr. Nelson wishes to ask a follow-up question, that's perfectly appropriate. We still have the court reporter, we still have the witness.
I don't think that this is an issue of professionalism at all. He said on the record that he concludes the deposition, and we could have the court reporter read that back if you'd like, Mr. Johnson. There are no more questions that are going to be asked today.
Doctor, can you see what I have on?
No. There are no more questions that are going to be asked today. The deposition is concluded. There are no more questions. It's over.
No,
Matt,
you don't get to make unilateral decisions about what's happening in the deposition.
Madam Court Reporter, can you read back the portion where the deposition was concluded?
It really doesn't matter what she reads back. Stated my position that we are still here. We have the court reporter, we have the witness, we have all attorneys present. And if there's another issue that needs to be addressed regarding the deposition, particularly with regard to this receipt of a subpoena with regard to production of documents at the time of deposition, then I certainly expect all counsel to cooperate and give me an answer to the question.
Doctor, can you see my screen?
Yes,
I'm just gonna Mr. Nelson, will you just give me a standing objection to any questions asked from this point forward, so I don't have to object to each one?
you've made your record quite clear, and if you want to move to exclude this testimony, you're entitled to do that, counsel. But I'm not going to stop the deposition at this point because you insist upon it.
Yeah,
I did serve a notice, and I'm going to continue. So
I'm asking you, you give me a standing objection, so I don't need to object to every single question you asked right now.
Well, I'm tempted to give you the same courtesy you gave to me when I requested similar accommodations in the past, but I'm not going to stoop to your childish level. So yeah, you can preserve your objection. Doctor, I'm just showing you the notice that we served to get you here today. It's a notice of ducis tecum deposition of Raymond Huey, MD. Doctor, have you seen this before today?
I may have. I cannot recall specifically. No.
Okay.
I may have.
I'm going to attach it as an exhibit, but attached to it was matters requested for production. Did you produce the documents that we asked you to produce today at the time of your deposition, including all files related to Aaron Altman?
I would assume it had been done through my office. I do not do it specifically myself. No.
Okay. Also requested was all correspondence to or from you exchanged with anyone else relating to Ms. Altman. Did you produce those?
I did not personally do that. I would assume my office would have done that for you.
Okay. Copies of all reports or affidavits you have signed and prepared. Doctor, I'm going to attach this to the deposition transcript, but you've waived the right to get the transcript, so you won't see it attached there.
Okay.
If you need a copy, let me know and I'll have someone send it to Adela Zurich at your office.
Yes.
But what I'd like you to do is review this and produce all responsive documents by emailing them to the court reporter at the email address I gave you. Will you agree to do that?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll forward it to Ms. Zurich, who would handle that for me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And the last thing I'm going to ask you the number to follow up with Ms. Zurich to make sure that she gets that accomplished for us.
Okay.
Go ahead, doctor.
Her phone number?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Her phone number directly is 678-985-7192. That's a direct line.
Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your patience. And do you have in mind the documents I asked you to produce?
Yes.
Where should I email a copy of the depot notice just so you can look at it if you need to?
You can email it to huirc@resurgent.com.
Thank you, doctor. I appreciate your cooperation.
You're welcome. If you can also have your request, you can email her. I'll call her for the this note. I guess this last note that I got from this Dr. Jeff Traub. She'll be able to fax it to you or send it to you through email.
Fair enough. I think the best way to do it is for it to go to the court reporter and attach it so everybody knows exactly what was produced. And there's no question that you produced something to me that Mr. Kahn or Mr. Johnson was not aware.
I'm the worst person to be doing all this type of stuff, so I'm not savvy. So
Okay.
You can reach out to her to have her.
So if I email you at HueyRC requesting these documents and attaching the depot notice, will you forward it to Ms. Zurich? Or how do you want me to handle that?
Maybe
make sure the reporter gets them.
Yeah, maybe you can forward to Ms. Zurich.
Okay, so give me her email address.
Let me see her email address. ZERICAX@resurgent.com. ZERICAX@resurgence.com.
I'm going to have to read that back to you because I heard it two different ways. Is it ZUR or ZAR?
ZER.
ZER.
ZERICAX@resurgence.com.
Okay, so it's D Erica X at
Mhm.
Resurgence.
Yes.
All right, got it.
If you email her, whatever else you need, she'll be able to assist in doing that.
Okay, I'm gonna copy you on the email so you're aware of what's going on and she'll know that it was with your understanding.
Okay.
And Mr. Nelson, I just request that you, any emails with the doctor's office, you copy plaintiff's counsel to say it's not an ex parte communication.
That's fair. I don't think it's an ex parte communication unless I'm trying to communicate with him about medical treatment, which I'm not going to be doing, but I again, not going to behave towards you the way you behave towards me. So yeah, I'll do that.
Anything else, counsel?
Nothing further.
Nothing further from.
Mr. Johnson?
Nothing further from me. Thank you very much.